Shared world loot is a staple in the Borderlands series, and many fans believe it's the only way that Borderlands should be. However, other Vault Hunters think that it might be time for a change, and they find that in the current system, it's kind of hard to divide the loot fairly, and sometimes it doesn't always work out very well with random players. So the issues are that some fans are fed up with loot sharing and ninja looting, and the solution? A hybrid instance loot system. So if you don't know what an instance loot system is, it's basically a system in which players don't all see the same loot like it is in Borderlands. The best current example I can give of this is Destiny. I see different guns in Destiny on the ground than my friend sees. And so I get the guns that I get, and he gets the guns that he gets. That way it's, everyone has their own RNG, and it's a little bit more fair. So I, with the help of some feedback, have an idea for an instance loot system. Kind of like this, but also kind of different, because I still want to keep the shared world feel of Borderlands and keep the loot the same for every player. So basically, everyone will still view all the same loot that drops, but when a player picks up an item, they only see them pick it up in their game. So when they pick it up, they see it fly up towards them like it does in Borderlands, but the item doesn't leave the ground in another player's perspective. So basically, there's a corresponding amount of copies of the item to the amount of players in the game. So these 4 copies of an item, if there are 4 players in the game, will only show as one item. It just won't disappear when someone who isn't yourself picks it up. Hopefully I didn't confuse you too much with that, but I can use an example to try to help. So let's say I'm playing with one other friend, and we kill a boss, and a Norfleet drops. I run over to pick up the Norfleet, and it leaves the ground and goes to my inventory. My friend sees me pick up the gun, but the Norfleet is still on the ground, so he can pick it up. Essentially, there are 2 copies of the gun. Hopefully, this would create a fair way to distribute loot across all the players, while remaining the shared loot feel of Borderlands. But this isn't the only way to go about it. Death Squad on YouTube had an idea for an instance system in which there was only one item, but when anyone in the game picked it up, a loot feed confirmation message popped up on each player's screen asking whether they'd like a copy of the weapon or not. You could say yes or no with the D-pad, and then if you said yes, a copy of that item would appear in your inventory, and if you said no, then obviously it wouldn't. Basically, this way, players could choose whether they wanted a copy of a gun their friend just picked up. Also, it'd be a cool way to reintroduce the loot feed like there was in Borderlands 1, which I thought was pretty awesome. But I'll get into that in another video. Creative username 556 on Reddit mentioned that they believe an instance loot system would help getting rid of the duping issue inside of the community. Creative username 556 also said that they wouldn't feel the need to dupe if the game dropped enough items or the same items for everyone in the party, and that the only reason they do is because it's fair. I would also like to add that this system might result in a decrease in drop rates or the general amount of loot dropped, because the drop rates are essentially being quadrupled. If we wanted a game like Borderlands 1 that had an abundance of rare loot, then a system like this might be somewhat unbalanced. But if the drop rates were more like Borderlands 2, this system might make more sense. I fully believe, however, that having a hybrid instance system and the Borderlands 1 abundance of loot, or some balance of course, would be great for Borderlands. The more loot the better, right? If we didn't have an instance loot system in the next Borderlands game, we would once be expected to share loot. And if you've ever played with strangers, that's not always the most plausible idea. In a perfect world, people would always distribute loot fairly, but that really isn't the world we live in, is it? This is obviously fixed by a loot system like Destiny, but keeping the shared loot feel is really important to me and much of the community. I know that Gathalion actually touched on this issue in a video he made, and I'll probably link that one in the description. He felt that the shared loot of Borderlands should stay the same and shouldn't really change. And while I agree with that, I see there is an issue. I would also like to point out that this whole system would be negated if there was just an abundance of loot in general. Now, I understand that you wanting to get the same weapon as your friend is pretty important, but I think if we just get enough guns, then dividing the loot won't be so hard. However, this still remains the issue of ninja looters and people who don't want to play fairly online, and I don't really think we can change human nature, so maybe an instance loot system is the way to go. Anyway, tell me what you guys think about the instance loot system idea down in the comments, or share any ideas you've had about the Borderlands series or things we could change, or just about the instance loot system in general. I would like to add that my channel is doing well. I'm enjoying the amount of views I'm getting on these videos and the feedback I'm getting on Reddit and on YouTube. Death Squad and Creative Username were really awesome guys who gave me some pointers and stuff like that, and there are other people of course, but I just chose to call them out specifically and share their ideas. I would also like to say that if you check the description of all my videos, I'm always asking for gameplay videos, and I thought I'd just throw it in the video this time. If you you have gameplay of Borderlands, or if you have a means to record and you want to send me footage for the background of videos, that'd be so awesome, because I actually don't have a means of recording right now. I don't have a capture card or anything. Anyway, sound off in the comments like I said before. Tell me what you think. I'll be posting this video to Reddit, and come reach me there because I'm definitely more active on Reddit. But until next time, I've been Jeromo. I'll see you guys later.